Hello you guys, welcome back. I am so happy to be back in my car again and recording a video. I wanted to tell you guys about this weird thing that happened to me the other day. Basically, I had bought tickets to this concert like over a month ago to the Front Bottoms, which is a band I really love and I've loved for a very long time, and I was so excited. It was like very nostalgic, and yeah, I've just been like really excited about it, but it was like a little bit of a ways out, like at least a month, and I was aware of it. I was aware of the concert. I went to Finland recently. I got back within like the last 2 weeks. I've had like some stuff going on, but I still like texted my friend Frances, who lives in Washington, like literally just a couple of nights before the concert, and I was like, hey, what are the odds that you can fly out here and we can go together, because we just both really love that band. It was in my brain, okay, that it was like coming up in a couple of days, right? Like I literally texted Frances, but the other night, the day of the concert, I completely spaced it. I spaced it the day before too, because I talked to my friend Zane the night before and I was like, let's hang out tomorrow night. I don't have anything going on. And then day of the concert, I literally did nothing. Like I literally just laid in bed all day, which is so sad to think that like I could have been getting ready and like doing my makeup and getting cute and like listening to their music and getting pumped up, and I love concerts so much. So it was like eradicated from my brain basically. And I ended up hanging out with my sister that night, and we decided to go to this like coffee stand called Dutch Bros, because they have a lot of those in Washington and we used to do that all the time, and they're open late. So it was like super normal for like people in high school to just like go at night and get like a Red Bull Italian soda or something. So I went and picked her up, and they aren't as popular in California, so they're kind of like spaced out. So we ended up having to drive 45 minutes to get there, and we got there at like 10 p.m. and there's always just like a really long line at that place. It's like really popular. So even though we got there like an hour before close and it was 10 p.m. on a Saturday night, there was a very long line. So we're sitting in line and we were FaceTiming my mom, and my mom was asking us if we went to the location in Anaheim. And literally, as soon as she uttered the words, Anaheim, I was like, oh my God. And I remembered that I was supposed to go to that concert that night in Anaheim. And I was beside myself. I was so shook. I was literally like, it was taking me a while to process, because I was like, how did I forget the show that I was so excited about? I like pulled up the ticket on my phone, confirmed it. Sure enough, was at the observatory in Anaheim at 5:30 p.m. And not only was it just a normal concert, it was the Champagne Jam, which is where they all wear suits and they drink champagne on stage, and it's just like fun. It would have been such fun vibes. Regardless, that part doesn't even really matter. That was just part of my grieving process and my FOMO that I felt afterwards. I was so confused because I was like, how did this just completely space from my brain? And I don't have like the best memory. I will say I have Lyme disease, and I feel like I suffer from a lot of brain fog from time to time. And I used to take a lot of magnesium just to try to sharpen my brain power. But if it's something I'm excited for, or like work, or like a big responsibility, or like something on the calendar that's like significant, I always remember. I don't really write things down that much. Like I always remember like times and when I'm supposed to be somewhere. So I don't know. It was so bizarre that it's something that I was looking so forward to, that I just like, it really just felt like it got erased from my brain. And like, I literally had a pit in my stomach because I was just so bummed, because I'd been so excited to go to the show. So like, when I was realizing that, we're basically like in line at Dutch Bros, like stopped in line, and within literally under a minute of realizing, and my mom saying Anaheim and me being like, holy fuck, I forgot this concert, I looked over to the right, and it's like we're in like a business parking lot. We're like in the parking lot of like a big grocery store, and just there's like other places. We're like right by the street, and the street name right next to us, there's like a street sign and like a stoplight, is Bogart Ave, which if you know the Front Bottoms, they have a song called Jim Bogart, which for me, I have like so many memories associated with, because that's like a song that me and two of my best friends, Franny and Tara, would like always sing. Like, every time we see each other, we always play that song and we always sing it together. So that's just like the song that I really associate with the Front Bottoms. Like that's probably what would come to mind first. And I was just so fucking weirded out because I was like processing that I forgot the concert. And then I look over and I see a street sign for Bogart Ave, which I don't know what Bogart is. Like, that just is not something I hear every day. I'm also like I'm like in Baldwin Park. I'm far away from my house in an area I wouldn't even normally be in. Literally at like 10 p.m. Like, it was like so random, but not random. Like, there's just no coincidence that I literally like completely forgot the concert, remembered, and then as soon as I remember, I look to the right and I see a street sign of like the song that I know the most by them. And it was just such a weird fucking thing. I felt so like it took me a long time to process. And I was just like, what the hell? Like, that's not random. This is so weird. Like, either the universe is like playing a sick joke on me and just like rubbing it in my face. Like, you didn't get to go to this concert. Ha ha ha, you suck. Sucks to be you. Or I was like exactly where I was supposed to be. And I just was, you know, it was like a sign that I was exactly where I was supposed to be. It was like a synchronicity. And maybe I was like actually being divinely protected. Maybe it was all supposed to happen that way. Because I truly do not believe in coincidences. Like, I know sometimes it seems like things are so random, but I personally don't believe that to be true. I think that everything is intentional and everything is happening how it is supposed to happen. And that just like those weird occurrences, like it's too crazy to just be random, you know? And I've been shown that so many times in my life with just really just insane happenings and synchronicities and just magical, mystical things like that happening. So yeah, you guys, I was just like so shook. And when I saw that sign, it really, really did feel like confirmation that I just wasn't supposed to go. And obviously I was very sad about missing the concert and I had a lot of FOMO and I did not want to think about how fun it probably was to be there. And I was just like, why the hell did I lay in bed all day? But like I said, it's not like me to forget something like that. The fact that it really felt like it was eradicated from my brain, the fact that I then saw that sign really just told me that I just was not supposed to go to that concert that night for whatever reason. And it's interesting just right now because I really feel like I'm in a very transitional state in my life right now. I'm like in a very transitional place where like a lot is changing. I'm having to say goodbye to a lot of things. I'm kind of like in an in-between place of like this old life that I was very familiar with and, you know, was trying to make work and it just wasn't working, and then stepping into this new life. And I've been so on a tip of consciously and intentionally manifesting what I want my life to look like right now. Like every morning I do the same meditation where I am visualizing what I want my life to look like as far as my career, as far as my house, as far as my family and friends, and how I feel and how I look and what's happening in my life and different opportunities and things I'm working on. Like, I have been so intentional about putting those things out into the universe. I've been writing about them. Like, it's all definitely very much so out there at this point, right? And so because of that, you know, I've also had to make some difficult decisions. I've also been put in a position where I've really had to let a lot of things that were very familiar to me go, and I've faced a lot of indecision and just like a lot of decision making basically. And I just feel like when you really are consciously manifesting something in your life, like sometimes you have to give things up and sometimes you have to create space for those things to happen. And when you know that you're really actively calling things in, it's just not random when certain things then get removed from your life. And I know it can feel like things are falling apart and everything is going wrong, because trust me, that's how I felt for the last 6+ months. I have been struggling, you guys, because I was just trying to make things work that just simply weren't working or weren't meant to be. And I just was very resistant to change. Even though I've been trying to call these things in, I just wanted it to work the way that my ego wanted it to work, right? And yeah, it's been, you know, a really, really difficult time in terms of that. And it all kind of came to a head recently, and I just really received the clarity that I needed to be able to, you know, really let things go and really actually move forward and be really excited about moving forward. Like, I have full clarity that there's nothing else I could possibly do, and that it's just time to move on. It feels relieving. It feels like very freeing in a lot of ways, but it was really hard. And so I'd been pulling a lot of cards. I'd been journaling a lot. I'd been praying, talking out loud, like just asking for guidance and support. And I've been receiving a lot of synchronicities lately, which I just think are like my angels or my higher self, just like really showing me a lot of support and a lot of love. Every time I pick up my phone, 111, 143, 234, and just, you know, the cards being so accurate. And I just wanted to add too that sometimes I just feel fucking weird when I talk about synchronicities or just like more mystical things, which is so weird because I never want to feel shameful about what I believe or what I truly genuinely experience, but I feel like sometimes I feel like I sound like I'm coming off as if I'm going through some kind of spiritual psychosis or something. And really what I think it is that I think that in the US especially, a lot of people are very disconnected to deeper parts of themselves, to nature, to spirit, to anything maybe beyond just the five senses. But it's interesting because it's also not that weird, because you think about people who maybe have lost a loved one and they talk about how, you know, they get these synchronicities or an animal that they associated with that person, and it's something that you feel, and it's undeniable. Like maybe you can't explain it logically, maybe you can't see it with your naked eye, but it's just something that you feel that is just so incredibly real, you know? So I know that some people do experience more mystical things, and that it is like pretty normalized, but at the same time, sometimes when I do talk about this stuff, I feel really weird, and I always really try to find a balance between spirituality and just the human experience, and I try to just really integrate the two more than anything. I just try to be really present and take what I have learned along the way and integrate it and just fully embrace this human experience. Like I love being a girl in this human experience, okay? I love doing my makeup. I love, you know, doing fun human things, right? Okay, but there is like this other side of me, and I'm also like a fucking Pisces stellium, right? So it's like, of course, I'm gonna be super drawn to the unseen things. It's like written, okay? But I try to integrate the two, and I never want to go too far on one end, but I have just noticed that sometimes when I want to talk about this stuff, I feel like a little weird. And I didn't used to feel that way before, so I don't know what it is. I think I kind of just have been really embracing the human experience, and maybe was really in my ego, so I just was kind of judging myself for this other stuff, even though it's so real. And I will say that when I was in Finland, it was so interesting because we went on these excursions and we had different guides, and this one guide that we had was this Finland native, and he was just telling us how they associate the Northern Lights with their ancestors, and how like a lot of people have actually like heard things in the Northern Lights, and just telling us all of these different folklore stories about like they are really big on saunas in Finland, right? It's like a very, very big part of their culture. And there's just all these like folklore stories about like sauna elves and how you have to like leave the sauna hot when you leave because you don't want the sauna elves to be mad, and stories about fairies, and like maybe, yeah, it's not real, but it's still just like a very whimsical culture, and it's like normalized. It's normal. That's how they grow up, and they are very, very in tune with nature there. They're very in tune with the seasons there. They're very connected to animals. And also, a really cool thing about Finland culture that I learned is that they really are not big on small talk at all. Like they actually are a lot more comfortable with silence and with maybe uncomfortable pauses, as we would perceive as awkward or uncomfortable in the US, because we're taught to just fill every single silence, even if it's not intentional, and even if it's just like stupid stuff, because we just, for some reason, it's unbearable for our culture to just sit in silence sometimes. And even I struggle with this sometimes, but I do try to be aware of it because I want to be as intentional as possible in all of my interactions. So I loved Finland. But it was just so interesting to realize like this is normal here. Like people, it's normal to be connected to nature. It's normal to be connected to a deeper part of yourself. It's normal to know that your ancestors are connected to the Northern Lights, you know? And so I was like, you know what? Maybe it's just what I'm surrounded with in the US that makes me feel weird talking about this sometimes. And I actually did talk to another one of our guides, and I mentioned the sauna elves, and I asked his opinion about like the Northern Lights and stuff. And he was like, well, maybe if you take like magic mushrooms or something. And I was like, oh, okay, then maybe not everyone is kind of on this vibe here. But then I realized that he was a seasonal worker and he wasn't even from Finland. And I ended up talking to that original guide again, and he was like, well, duh, he's not a Finland native. Like, he's not really a part of the culture. He's not going to get it. So there we go, you guys. I just wanted to add that little story because I don't know. And for somebody that maybe isn't super spiritual leaning or hasn't experienced a lot of those mystical experiences, like, it's not weird. Okay, it's very normal, especially in a lot of other areas in the world. And you can totally open yourself up to experiencing things. Like, there's just so much magic available in everyday life and so many little things that we might just skim over if we just really, really slow down and just connect to the stillness within ourselves. There is like so much happening behind the scenes, so much orchestrating. We have so much guidance, we have so much support, we are so loved. I've been shown this time and time again. Like, it truly is undeniable. It is so incredibly real. And I'm also not talking about being on mushrooms or something, like just cold stone sober, you know. So is it cold stone? Now I'm like thinking of the ice cream place. Anyways, very sober, right? Okay. But all of that to say that because I've been in this transitional time, I have felt extra love. I have felt extra support from these like maybe unseen sources, right? And so, you know, I've been a lot more accepting, and I think I just have reached like a breaking point where I have full clarity, you know, that I can't bring these things into this new phase of my life, and that, you know, sometimes you just have to walk away and you have to let things go with like love and grace and appreciation. I have come to realize that, yeah, when it seems like things are like falling apart or not going the way that you want, that it's actually very intentional for a much greater purpose, especially if you are really consciously trying to manifest things in your life, because things can't stay the same forever, and some things really can't go into a new phase of life with you. And so I know it can be so hard, and it can be really scary and really disorienting to have everything change around you, to have the familiar all of a sudden be really unfamiliar, to have difficult goodbyes. And I know how hard that can be, because that's where I've been many times in my life, but just really especially the last couple of months, and it has taken such a toll. It was taking such a toll on my mental health, you guys. If you watch any of my videos over the last couple of months, and so many of my vlogs, I'm just talking about how I'm struggling mentally, and it really was because I just was like on this emotional roller coaster of just holding on to things that were kind of just reaching their expiration date, and just really trying to make things work, but really I was just being met with inconsistency. And you know, I'll probably make a whole video on that specifically. But all of that to say that sometimes when things are falling apart, they're actually coming together. And I just have to be really, really trusting of that. And I've been shown that time and time again in my life, where things left my life and I was so sad about it and I was so bummed. And it actually was like the greatest form of protection that I could have asked for. And then eventually I feel so grateful that certain things happened the way they did, that certain things left my life, that certain things didn't work out the way that I thought I wanted them to, because it's almost like there's just so much that I can't perceive about my life, and then I just have this guidance, and I'm led on a certain path that is so much better for my highest good. But you know, it's hard being a human and having an ego and getting attached to things and wanting things to be a certain kind of way. I know it can be excruciatingly difficult, and I would say what has really helped me is to really return to that place of being and that place of stillness behind it all, kind of behind my ego. I did that in Finland as well. I had this like really beautiful meditation that just really stood out and like actually shifted, I feel like, my state of being a little bit, because I meditate daily, but I don't always do meditations for like stillness. I do a lot of meditations where I'm like consciously conjuring up feelings, putting myself in a certain state, but I don't really do a lot of meditations where I'm just simply being. And so I had crazy jet lag. I woke up at like 4:30 a.m. My mom and my sister were still asleep. We were in this beautiful cabin that like the ceiling is just windows. So you can see outside, you can see the northern lights, you can see all these beautiful trees. And I was like awake, and I ended up putting my headphones in and doing this meditation. It was Eckhart Tolle, and it was just so beautiful. And I was able to return to this place of stillness behind my thoughts. And you know, I'm always on that tip, but I think I just hadn't been able to really drop in like I was able to during that meditation. And the past 6 months, I've been responding and reacting out of my ego so intensely. I've been so triggered and just like, like really intense. And it was like there was, you know, there would be spaciousness at times. I was really into journaling. I was trying to, you know, do things that would make me feel better. But I don't know, when I did this meditation, I just felt full spaciousness, and I just felt such a separation from those like initial just reactions and responses, and I felt so whole. And it just was so helpful to kind of be in that state of just detachment and just love. And I really feel like helped me to be a lot less attached to things in my life. And I've just been keeping that feeling in mind and returning back to that place of just wholeness where I'm not yearning for anything outside of myself and everything is good enough and I'm just fully present. And I think it's just really important to return to that place, because when we're operating out of our ego, it's just a constant want, need, not being satisfied and just reacting and responding. And it's just so important to slow down. And I know that every meditation doesn't hit like that one hit, because I meditate a lot, but I just felt grateful that I experienced that. And it hasn't been random, just the way that everything, a culmination of everything has been unfolding the way that it has been unfolding. But anyways, gonna relate this back to the concert. I really genuinely feel that me forgetting that concert and then me seeing that sign was confirmation that maybe if I had gone, something bad was gonna happen, or that truly I just was exactly where I was supposed to be in that moment for whatever reason. Like, I will probably never know why I forgot, and maybe it isn't significant, but for me, I'm like always finding the deeper meaning in things, and just seeing that Bogart sign was the icing on the cake to tell me that like this wasn't random, girl, and maybe to help me like get through it and like realize like maybe I would have gotten in a car accident. I also, when I bought the tickets, like Anaheim is pretty far from my house, I was like, should I stay in that area? Should I drive? Like, I don't know, after concerts sometimes you're so pumped up, sometimes you're tired. And then I was like, okay, well, I probably shouldn't really drink. And not to say that anything bad would have happened, but like, who knows? And it really makes me think about too, like, this is like so extreme and different than my concert situation, but even the stories that you hear about the people who were supposed to go to work on 9/11 and would have been impacted by the plane crash, and maybe were late for whatever reason, and were probably frustrated in the moment that they were late, because, you know, it sucks to be late to work. It sucks to, like, that's a shitty feeling, right? And, you know, they ended up missing what happened. And I think that happens a lot daily, and it's like we don't even know. We don't even realize like how protected we are on the daily, and we probably feel super fucking frustrated and angry and are really resistant to a lot of things that happen, but maybe they're happening like really how they're supposed to, and maybe it was all for a much greater reason that we'll never be able to perceive, or we will be able to perceive later on. So I know that I'm so divinely protected. I've been shown that, and that's something that I know and I trust. So when things are not going my way, I really have to just know that it was just for a greater reason. And I just have to trust that. And that is how I choose to live my life. And that is what I've been shown. And that feels really good to me, because a lot of things don't go my way. And I've been stuck in this perspective of just feeling like neglected by the universe sometimes, or like everything is going against me, and just wondering, like, just feeling very woe is me and just really bummed. And it's like, I'm actually so blessed. And yes, I have to feel all of those feelings, and I need to grieve, and I need to allow myself to honor feeling sad about things, because those feelings are very real, and they're really valid. But I just try to remember all the times in the past when things didn't work out the way that I wanted, and it was actually such a blessing. And just knowing that I am so supported, and affirming that to myself. And it is the same for you, okay? You have ancestors, you have loved ones, you have guides, you have angels that love you, okay? And yeah, it just feels really good to know that things are always working out for me. And even, if I don't understand it in the moment, just knowing that is what I choose to believe, and that is what I experience. So I just wanted to share that story, because it just, like, I know it doesn't sound like it was a big deal, but it really was just so fucking weird. And I just feel like, especially when you're seeing a lot of synchronicities in your life, it's like, it's just none of the events that happen are random, even if it doesn't make sense in the moment. Like, it's just like a lot of things have to fall apart to come together. And I think we just have to be patient and allow things to play out and to see them through till they make sense, you know? And some things happen that don't make any sense. And then we just have to try to make peace with it, you know? I don't know, the human experience is really crazy. And yeah, I'm just doing my best to make peace with everything in my life, but I really do genuinely feel really excited about where I am and where I'm going, which is fucking awesome because I have not felt that way in a while, and it has taken a long time for me to reach this point. So anyways, you guys, I hope that that was helpful for you to hear, and maybe you can relate that to certain situations happening in your life right now, and just try to find peace and just try to find surrender, and maybe even a tinge of excitement or just even a tinge of openness to receiving and to letting things play out, and just being curious about it and just being excited and just knowing that you hold so much power in the perspective that you choose to live your life through. And I know it can be really hard to have certain things change and say goodbye, but I don't know, every ending is a new beginning too, right? So just trying to bring fresh, new, excited energy into your life, because you really, really are deserving of that. But anyways, you guys, okay, well, I will see you guys in another video soon. I'm so happy to be back and recording, and yeah, I love you guys so much. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for witnessing me. Thank you for listening to this. Yeah, I'll see you guys again soon. Okay, bye!